You finally got the raise, a bigger paycheck, a better title, maybe a shiny new car sitting in the driveway. And yet, somehow, you're still broke, still one bad month away from total disaster. That is not bad luck, and it is definitely not your fault. You were dropped into a game that was rigged before you were even born, a machine quietly built to keep you comfortable, keep you busy, and keep you permanently one step away from rich. Because the middle class isn't poor for the reason you think. It's not that they don't make money. They make plenty. They stay poor because of 5 invisible traps that swallow every dollar before it ever gets the chance to grow. I've watched people climb for 30 years and somehow never get anywhere. So today, I'll show you exactly why that happens, and the one switch that flips the entire game. Meet Mike. Mike makes $70,000 a year, and he just got the call he'd been waiting for. A promotion, 20 grand more. He is thrilled. Finally, he thinks, a little breathing room. So naturally, Mike celebrates. A nicer apartment, because hey, he earned it. A brand new car to replace the old one. Dinner's out. A better phone. All the little upgrades he always told himself he'd get one day. Nothing crazy. Just the kind of life a successful guy is supposed to have. Now let's fast forward exactly 1 year. Mike is making more money than he ever has in his life. And his bank account looks precisely the same. Zero. Same stress. Same empty savings. Just nicer stuff to feel broke inside of. This is the very first trap. And it has a name. Lifestyle inflation. Every single time your income goes up, your spending quietly rises to swallow it whole. The raise didn't make Mike rich. It just made him more expensive to be. And here's the cruel little twist. A chunk of that raise bumped him into a higher tax bracket, so the government helped itself to a bigger bite too. Mike ran faster and landed in the exact same spot. A raise isn't a reward. For most people, it is simply bait. Now look a little closer at what Mike actually bought. That gorgeous new car? It lost a full quarter of its value the very second he drove it off the lot. And every month, he hands over $700 for a thing that is worth less. Every single day, he owns it. The giant television, the financed couch, the phone on a payment plan. They all do the exact same thing. They pull money out of his pocket, month after month, and hand him nothing back. Things that cost you money just to own them have a name too. Liabilities. And the middle class is absolutely drowning in them. Because liabilities almost always arrive disguised as success. A new truck looks like you finally made it. A bigger house looks like real wealth. But watch what the wealthy quietly buy instead. They buy the boring stuff. A small slice of a business. A rental unit. Shares that pay them just for holding on to them. Things that put money back into their pocket while they sleep. Those are assets. And here is the entire game summed up in a single line. The middle class buys things that look rich. The wealthy buy things that actually make them rich. And they could not care less how boring it looks. Trap number 3 is the one almost nobody ever warns you about. Mike has exactly one source of money in his entire life. His job. One paycheck. From one employer. For one fixed set of hours. The moment Mike stops working, the money stops that very same week. He doesn't actually own his income. He rents it out, 1 hour at a time. And that single paycheck happens to be the most heavily taxed money in the whole country. Hit by the government before it ever even reaches his hands. Now picture instead someone genuinely wealthy. They don't have one stream of income. They've got 10. A business over here, rent checks over there, dividends, royalties, interest sitting in the bank. And most of it shows up whether they get out of bed in the morning or not. The average millionaire has somewhere around 7 separate streams of income. Mike has exactly one, and it comes with an off switch his boss controls. That is the trap. Trading your time for money feels responsible, feels safe, but time is the one single thing you can never, ever make more of. The rich figured that out, stopped selling their hours, and started buying things that earn without them. Okay, so whatever Mike has left over, he saves, right? Well, here's trap number 4. Watch where his paycheck actually goes the day it lands. Rent comes out first, then the car payment, then the credit card, then the phone bill, the streaming services, the electricity, the insurance. Everyone gets paid. The landlord, the bank, the phone company, a dozen companies he forgot he was even paying. Everyone gets their cut. Everyone except Mike. Whatever is left at the very end, which is usually close to nothing, is what he calls his savings. Mike pays himself dead last, and last always gets the crumbs. Now here's how the wealthy flip it completely. The day money comes in, they pay themselves first. Before a single bill, before any spending, they skim a slice right off the top and turn it into ownership, automatically, every single time. Then they live on whatever is left. Same paycheck, opposite order, a completely different life. The middle class saves whatever's left after spending. The wealthy spend whatever's left after saving. And what's left after spending is always nothing, because spending expands to eat whatever you give it. But let's say Mike does manage to save a little. He does the responsible thing and puts it in the bank, where it's safe. And this is the fifth trap. Honestly, the cruelest of them all, because that money is not safe. It is melting. Every year, prices quietly creep up by about 3%. That's inflation. A coffee that costs $5 today costs more next year, and more again the year after that. But the dollars sitting in Mike's account don't grow with them. His bank pays him almost nothing, a tiny sliver of a single percent. So while prices keep climbing, his savings just sit there, perfectly still, quietly losing value every single day. Leave $1,000 in a normal account for 20 years, and it can lose nearly half of what it could once buy. Saving felt safe. It was a slow leak. And here's the twist the wealthy understand that Mike doesn't. Inflation isn't only a tax on your cash. It's a reward for owning assets, because the very same force that shrinks Mike's savings pumps up the price of their stocks, their houses, their businesses. Inflation robs the saver and pays the owner. Same storm, opposite sides of the window. Now maybe you're thinking, I'm being dramatic for the views. I'm not. Let's look at the actual receipts. In the richest country in human history, around 60% of people live paycheck to paycheck, 6 in 10, and plenty of them earn good money. The typical American family couldn't even cover a $400 emergency with cash on hand. $400. Meanwhile, credit card debt just blew past $1 trillion, an all-time record, and the average interest rate on that debt sits above 20%. Read that one again. The banks pay you almost nothing to save, then turn around and charge you over 20% to borrow. The house always wins because the house is the one who wrote the rules. And while the middle class ran in place on this treadmill, the slice of all wealth held by the very top kept climbing to levels we haven't seen in 100 years. None of this is an accident. You were carefully trained to be a great worker and a loyal spender. Just never, ever an owner. So here it is, the uncomfortable truth I promised you at the very start. The middle class doesn't stay poor because they're lazy, or stupid, or hopeless with money. They stay poor because every single trap is perfectly disguised as a win. The raise feels like progress. The new car feels like success. The steady job feels like safety. Saving your scraps feels responsible. Every last trap feels exactly right. And that, precisely, is why almost nobody ever escapes it. But you just saw the wires. So here's the switch, the one I promised, and it fits in a single sentence. Stop measuring how much you earn and start measuring how much you own. Income is how you survive. Ownership is how you get free. So the next raise you get, don't spend it. Take one slice and buy a single asset with it. Something boring, something that pays you a little, all on its own. Then go and do it again and again. That's it. That is the entire secret the wealthy never even had to learn, because someone simply handed it to them at birth. You had to find it the hard way. Right here, about 9 minutes ago. The treadmill is still running. The only question left is when you finally decide to step off.